Did you know that constantly being available and accessible to everyone might actually be holding you back from true fulfillment? If you want to reclaim your time, create meaningful relationships, and foster genuine connections, you need to start making strategic decisions about where and with whom you invest your energy. In today's fast-paced world, we're led to believe that the more people we know, the more successful and connected we are. But don't believe this common myth. Stoic wisdom teaches us the power of selective presence, valuing our time and embracing mystery as key elements in living a fulfilling life. By focusing on quality over quantity and creating space for ourselves, we allow our relationships and our own well-being to thrive. In this video, we'll explore the importance of creating rarity, avoiding constant availability, and mastering the art of selective presence, as well as how these principles can transform your personal life. Ready to discover how a simple shift in focus can lead to a more fulfilling life and deeper connections? Let's dive in. Number 1. Create rarity, the value of selective presence. At some point in life, we've all experienced the warmth of connection, those moments when we're surrounded by people who appreciate our presence, when laughter fills the air and everything feels easy. These are the times when it's tempting to always be around, to feel included in every conversation, every gathering, every decision. But think for a moment about how you felt the last time someone important to you wasn't always available. Didn't their absence make their presence even more special when they finally reappeared? This is the power of rarity, a value often overlooked in the fast-paced, always-on culture we live in. Core Stoic principles teach us that what is scarce is often the most valuable. When you're constantly available, your presence becomes routine, predictable, and over time, perhaps even taken for granted. Selective presence, on the other hand, creates intrigue and value. Imagine you're like a rare gem, precious because you're not always easily accessible. This isn't about playing games or creating artificial distance. It's about recognizing that your time, your energy, and your presence are inherently valuable. By consciously choosing when and how to be present, you create a space where others appreciate you more fully. It's a subtle but powerful shift, one that speaks to self-respect and the understanding that meaningful interactions aren't measured by their frequency, but by their depth. Think back to a time when you unexpectedly ran into an old friend or family member after a long absence. The flood of emotions, joy, nostalgia, and appreciation was likely heightened because of the distance that had grown in their absence. Their presence wasn't something you took for granted. It became a moment to savor. This is what creating rarity does. It allows your presence to leave a lasting impression, to be cherished more deeply. But there's more to this concept that sparks curiosity. What does it mean to cultivate selective presence in our hyper-connected world? In a society where social media creates an illusion of constant closeness, can we truly master the art of being meaningfully absent at times? And if we do, how do we balance that with the fear of missing out? These are the questions that arise when we start embracing the idea of rarity. Questions that challenge us to reconsider our relationship with both ourselves and others. Number 2, avoid constant availability. Value your time like a precious gem. There's a certain pleasure in being available for the people we care about, in showing up and being there when they need us. It fills us with a sense of purpose and belonging, knowing that we're dependable. But what happens when that availability becomes constant? When your time is so freely given that others come to expect it, the very thing that once brought fulfillment can begin to feel like a burden. Suddenly, you find yourself always answering the phone, attending every event, and meeting every demand, without any room to breathe or reflect on your own needs. In the core of Stoic teachings, The value of time is held in high regard. Time is finite, and how we choose to spend it defines not only our success, but our happiness and well-being. When we stretch ourselves too thin, constantly giving our time away, we risk losing sight of what truly matters. By setting boundaries and limiting your availability, you protect that most precious resource, your own time. This isn't selfishness, it's self-preservation. When you value your time like a gem, you begin to realize that saying no is not a rejection of others, but an affirmation of yourself. Looking back, perhaps you can recall a time when you were always available to someone, a friend, a colleague, or even a loved one, and the gradual shift that occurred in that relationship. What started as a natural connection may have, over time, felt like an obligation. The calls that once filled you with joy became another task on your to-do list. Now think about how things might have been different if you had set boundaries earlier, preserving your time for the moments that mattered most. Nostalgia creeps in as you reflect on the way things could have been if you had honored your own limits. This raises an intriguing question. How can we find the balance between being available and maintaining our boundaries? In a world that rewards constant accessibility and praises those who are always on, how do we navigate the tension between giving to others and preserving our own well-being? It's not easy, but the answer lies in the delicate art of valuing yourself as much as you value those around you. When you start treating your time like the precious gem it is, others will begin to see its value too. Number 3, embrace mystery, the power of leaving some things unsaid. There's something undeniably captivating about mystery. Think about the allure of a movie you couldn't stop thinking about, or a person whose depth you wanted to explore further. It wasn't because you knew everything about them, it was because there was more left to discover. In a world where we often feel pressured to be open books, constantly sharing and explaining ourselves, embracing mystery can feel like a lost art. But there's incredible power in leaving some things unsaid, in allowing curiosity to breathe life into your relationships. Stoic philosophy reminds us that wisdom often lies in restraint, not just in our actions, but in our words as well. When we speak too freely, we give away pieces of ourselves that might be better kept within. This doesn't mean we should become closed off or emotionally distant. Rather, it suggests that by choosing what to reveal and what to withhold, we create space for others to engage more deeply with us. Mystery invites curiosity, and curiosity fuels connection in a way that constant transparency never could. There's a beauty in the unknown, in allowing others to wonder about our thoughts, feelings, and experiences, rather than offering everything up front. Take a moment to reflect on a time when you first got to know someone, perhaps a close friend, a partner, or even a colleague. In the early stages of your relationship, there were likely things about them that remained a mystery, things you discovered gradually over time. This slow unveiling made the connection richer, more profound. If everything had been revealed at once, the intrigue might have faded quickly. Nostalgia stirs when we think back to the times when there was more to learn, more to uncover in the people around us. Now consider this. What happens when we apply this same principle to our own lives? What if we allowed ourselves to become a little more mysterious? In an era where oversharing has become the norm, what would it look like to pull back and leave room for curiosity to grow? There's something undeniably exciting about that idea. It challenges the notion that we must always be fully understood or completely available. Instead, it invites us to create a space where others can come closer, not because we've laid everything bare, but because there's still more for them to discover. Number 4. Let others invest in you. Foster mutual growth and connection. In relationships, whether personal or professional, there's often an expectation that we need to constantly give, be it our time, effort, or support. We've been taught that the more we give, the more valuable we become to others. And while generosity is undoubtedly a virtue, there's another side to this coin that often gets overlooked: the importance of allowing others to invest in us as well. This isn't about selfishness or withholding care. It's about fostering a balanced connection where growth and value flow both ways. There's something profoundly powerful in the Stoic idea of reciprocal relationships. Just as you offer your energy, support, and kindness, it's equally important to allow others the opportunity to do the same. Think of it this way: by letting others invest in you, you're giving them the chance to grow and feel valued through their own generosity. Whether it's leaning on a friend for advice or accepting help from a colleague, these moments of reciprocity build stronger, more meaningful connections. When others invest in you, they become more deeply invested in the relationship as a whole, and mutual respect is fostered. Now, recall a time in your life when someone offered to help you, but you hesitated to accept it. Maybe it was pride, maybe it was the belief that you had to do everything yourself, or perhaps you didn't want to feel like a burden. But think about how different things might have been if you had allowed that person to invest in you. Reflecting on such moments can stir feelings of nostalgia, remembering the missed opportunities for deeper connection, the times when someone extended their hand, but you chose to pull back. Nostalgia can be bittersweet, reminding us of both the value of those moments and the lessons they carry forward. This leads us to a curious question: what would our relationships look like if we were more open to letting others invest in us? How might our friendships deepen, our partnerships strengthen, or our professional connections flourish if we embraced this principle of mutual growth? There's a richness to be found in allowing others to care for us, to contribute to our journey, and to share in the process of becoming better versions of ourselves. In fostering this kind of reciprocity, we not only build stronger connections, but also create a sense of shared purpose and growth. Number 5, prioritize your needs. Strengthen yourself to support others. There's an innate satisfaction in being there for others, in offering support when it's needed most. Whether it's a shoulder to lean on, advice during a difficult time, or simply a presence that offers comfort, we often derive a sense of purpose from helping those around us. But too often this focus on others can come at a cost. We neglect our own needs, leaving ourselves drained and depleted. The Stoic principle of self-care reminds us that in order to truly support others, we must first prioritize our own well-being. Think about it. If you're constantly pouring from an empty cup, what are you really offering? True strength comes from within, and when you neglect your own needs, you weaken your ability to be there for others in a meaningful way. Prioritizing your needs isn't about selfishness. It's about recognizing that you are your own most important resource. By taking the time to care for yourself, whether through rest, reflection, or personal growth, you build a foundation that allows you to give more freely and fully to those around you. Reflect for a moment on a time when you gave so much to others that you began to feel burnt out. Maybe it was a time when work demands piled up, or when family and friends leaned heavily on you for support. While you might have been able to push through for a while, there was likely a point where exhaustion set in and the quality of your care began to wane. It's a common experience, one that evokes nostalgia for a simpler time when you weren't stretched so thin, when you had the energy to both care for yourself and others without feeling overwhelmed. This realization sparks curiosity. How might your life change if you started placing your needs at the center of your priorities? What would it look like to set boundaries that protect your time and energy, to invest in your own well-being first? The idea of putting yourself first might feel foreign or even uncomfortable, but it's essential for long-term growth and sustainability. By strengthening yourself, you're not only ensuring your own happiness and health, but also increasing your capacity to be there for others in a more powerful and impactful way. Number 6, don't make others the center of your life. Reclaim your narrative. At the heart of many of our relationships is the desire to be seen, heard, and valued. It's natural to want the people in our lives to play significant roles in our daily experiences, but sometimes, without even realizing it, we make the mistake of placing others at the center of our universe, allowing their needs, opinions, and expectations to dictate our own actions and emotions. While it's important to nurture relationships, Stoic philosophy reminds us that our sense of self should never be tied solely to others. There's a liberating power in reclaiming your narrative, in reminding yourself that you are the author of your own life. When you make others the focal point of your existence, you risk losing sight of your own goals, desires, and sense of purpose. The danger here isn't just in neglecting your needs, but in allowing your happiness and identity to be shaped by forces outside of your control. Reclaiming your narrative means stepping back and reassessing the balance in your relationships. It's about making sure that while others may play important roles in your life, you remain the protagonist of your own story. Think back to a time when you felt like your life was revolving around someone else. Maybe it was a partner, a family member, or even a friend. The decisions you made, the things you prioritized, even your emotions seemed to be dictated by what they wanted or needed. Over time, this can lead to a sense of loss, as if your own desires and aspirations have been pushed to the background. Nostalgia may remind you of who you were before that shift occurred, of the freedom and independence you once felt when your life was fully your own. This reflection brings up a compelling question. What does it mean to truly reclaim your narrative in today's world? How do you balance the demands and expectations of relationships while still honoring your own path? The process of reclaiming your life isn't about cutting others off or disengaging. It's about finding a way to center yourself within the story you're living. By doing so, you not only regain a sense of personal agency, but also create healthier, more balanced relationships where your needs and desires are just as important as those of the people around you. Number 7, focus on quality relationships. Invest your time where it matters most. In life, it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to maintain a large number of relationships, whether through social media, acquaintances, or casual friendships. In a culture that often equates social success with the size of one's network, the Stoic principle of focusing on quality over quantity stands in contrast. Stoicism teaches us that it's the depth of our connections, not the number, that truly enriches our lives. It urges us to invest in relationships that bring meaning, growth, and support, rather than scattering our attention across superficial ties. When we focus on quality relationships, we give ourselves the opportunity to build deep, lasting connections that provide real value, not just for us, but for the other person as well. These are the relationships that challenge us to grow, offer us support when we need it most, and create a sense of fulfillment that no amount of surface-level interactions can provide. It's about being intentional with your time and energy, choosing to nurture relationships that contribute positively to your well-being and personal development. Think about the people who have made the biggest impact in your life, the friendships that have weathered the test of time, the family members who have been there through thick and thin, or the mentors who have guided you. These relationships likely stand out not because of how often you see these people, but because of the quality of the connection you share with them. Nostalgia often brings us back to these pivotal relationships, moments of shared joy, comfort during hardship, or deep conversations that left a lasting impression. These memories remind us of the importance of investing in the right people, those who genuinely care for us and contribute to our growth. But now, think about how many times you found yourself caught in the social whirlwind, attending events or engaging in conversations out of obligation, keeping up with acquaintances whose presence adds little to your life, or maintaining connections just because they exist. What would it look like to narrow your focus and truly invest in the relationships that matter most? This shift invites curiosity. How might your life transform if you dedicated more of your time to cultivating deeper bonds with a few key people rather than trying to keep up with everyone? The idea of prioritizing quality relationships over quantity forces us to reassess how we spend our time and with whom we share it. It encourages us to step back from the constant noise and busyness that modern life often demands, and instead focus on the connections that genuinely matter. This isn't just about reducing stress or clearing your social calendar. It's about building a support system that nourishes your mind and soul. By embracing the power of selective presence, valuing your time, and fostering mystery in your relationships, you've taken the first steps toward reclaiming your life and focusing on what truly matters. It's not about how many people you interact with, but how meaningful and intentional those connections are. The Stoic path reminds us that creating space for ourselves and investing in the right relationships can lead to deeper fulfillment and lasting growth. If you've watched this far, drop a 100 emoji in the comments. It shows that you're part of the dedicated 0.01% who follow through and finish what they start. If you're serious about transforming your life and making lasting changes, be sure to subscribe to our channel. This is just the beginning of your journey, and we're here to guide you every step of the way. Let's continue to grow and evolve together.